What's going on, everybody? Sorry for the little delay there. What's up to Ken Jones in the chat? Say what's up when you get on in here. Pop in your questions and thoughts. Looks like Sheets had to go last minute. And we're going to get into it right now. I'm going to tell you guys where I'm at. You guys can fire in questions. I'll get to them in a minute. But I understand that there's chalk and that it's not right to play chalk on large slates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think there's ways of getting around it. And what I am going to do is be playing, like I'm going to have Dodgers in almost all of my lineups. I don't care because I think you can get, you're also getting some sort of conflict of ownership reports like Goldies, which I would trust the most. I think he'll update them soon. We've got Peralta, Rojas, Hayward, all low owned. I'll probably play Peralta and Hayward together to get some, larger spend. I know that's probably going to be how people do it, or if they do it at all on those guys. But I still am a big fan of playing the Dodgers tonight. I like the spot a little too much. So I have the Dodgers, Braves, then Arizona and Pittsburgh as my favorites. Those are the stack-wise where I like it. I think Arizona is a really good team to take a shot on tonight. Very minimal weather stuff, but Washington is so freaking weird. It always scares me a little bit. But yeah, I'm very, very high on those three stacks, particularly the Arizona, the Dodgers. And it's not that I love the Pittsburgh stack, but I'm using them more as complementary pieces because they have the value. And I know other people will do similar as well. But with Sawinski and Marcano, and then you've got Palacios in the outfield at 2K flat. You've got, let me just grab my other ownership here. Palacios at 2K flat. I don't mind Castro or Hayes at the bottom of the lineup. I do think that this is it's a kind of spot where you can kind of fill in the Braves and Dodgers and even the Diamondbacks, who are not as cheap, somewhat around that. If I had to pick another stack behind those outside of San Francisco and Colorado, who I think are both extremely viable and will be lower owned than most teams we see in Coors, I would probably pick Texas. But I don't think I'm going to end up with Texas as a main stack. So I'll go through my ownerships now, and I'm going to be a little bit all over the place. Well, it's weird. I've got high ownership on a couple guys for pitching on DraftKings, just because the prices work out and I'm able to get my big dollar players in. But I have it Peralta then Musgrove as my priorities for that range. I really don't think it's a day that you need to spend up on pitching unless you get the outlier Gausman Keller game. I do like Keller over Gausman for what it's worth. I just think it's really, really, you have all these pictures projected within like 2 points of each other. And it seems like on those kind of slates you want to spend down. I have like 28% Tyler Anderson. So that's one way I'm getting different. I have like 15% Kyle Gibson. That's another way I'm getting different. 10% Liberatore, another way to get different. And then I have a full 25% of Tony Gonsolin. And I think that's actually a pretty clever play. If he can keep the ball down, I think he can work through this Reds lineup. If this game was being played in LA in like a 60-degree weather game, you'd have to see a run total like a 1.5 less for Cincinnati. And I just think that there's a good enough chance for Gonsolin to have a good game here and potentially outscore the Schmidt, Peralta, Musgrove range. Other guys I've got like 10% of Brown, Hunter Brown, 10% of Logan Gilbert. I actually played them together with one of my chalk stacks. I think that worked out. Look, you're going to play the Dodgers and Braves. Okay, well, I'll play Hunter Brown and Gilbert and play the cheap Dodgers and Braves and see what happens. So I kind of thought that was an interesting way to go to try and get off chalk completely from pitching, but then not so much with the bats. And those guys have the same ceiling that all these other top aces do today. So no problem with that. Position by position, I have almost all of my catchers are Will Smith, Sean Murphy, and Moreno. I don't think I have any other catcher on DraftKings than those three. I'm not playing as many lineups as usual, but still good amount. I have first base. It's going to be Freddie Freeman, Christian Walker, and Matt Olson. It's pretty much my pool. I'm not really deviating too much. I do like Rowdy Tellez. I have him more on FanDuel. But those are my main guys. And those three, I think that, and even on FanDuel, I'm playing a little bit of Diaz and Murphy at catcher. I don't mind if you wanted to play, Diaz obviously is a very reasonable catching option. I didn't mention him, but I'm just not using him on DK very much because I'm not stacking Colorado fully. Second base, Mookie Betts, Ketel Marte, Ozzie Albies. Does that seem familiar with what my stacks are? That's what I've got. Third base, Max Muncy. I do have some Josh Donaldson just because of the price. Austin Riley and Patrick Wisdom. I don't mind as a one-off or part of a mini Cub stack. I do have a mini Cub stack in a couple lineups. Shortstop is going to be, look, we have the 2 minimum cost guys. I'm gonna eat some of it. I'm actually like splitting them up a little bit. Obviously, De La Cruz I think is the better play, but I have some mini Pirates to go with Marcano, so I'm using Marcano in my Pirates, secondary stacks, whether it's a 2 or 3 man. So I have De La Cruz and Marcano at each about 40%. My other shortstops are Anthony Volpe and Orlando Arcia in stacks. I have 48% Acuna, 30% of Hayward and Peralta, 30% of Ozuna and Rosario, 20% of Carroll, Pavin Smith. I do have a little bit of Giants one-off stuff because the pricing, 10% Haniger, 10% McCutchen, 20% Sawinski, 10% Palacios, 30% Ozuna. I mentioned that Ozuna one already. But you get the thing. You get the theme. I'm playing Dodgers, Braves, and I'm mixing it up a little bit of pitching in those stacks. And I'm playing the chalkier pitchers with one of Tyler Anderson or Tony Gonsolin. That's just, I think, an interesting way to get different. I do have some Clark Schmidt as well, but I'm a little lower on him than I am the other two 7,700, 7,800 guys. Do I like Baltimore money line plus? Don PLA says, do I like Baltimore money line plus 112? It's fine. There's nothing stands out about it. I didn't bet it. I wouldn't bet it, but it's fine. I have no issue with or against it. It's not anything that interesting to me. This De La Cruz thing, I just want to point out one thing, that the only thing that, like, again, sort of would be a flaw with my builds potentially is I do think De La Cruz ends up way more popular than Marcano does. Maybe I'm wrong because of the stacking part of it, but individually, if you're deciding between the two and you don't have any other players from that game, pick De La Cruz. But he's going to be really popular, and Marcano is as well. Anything else at shortstop is going to be way off the board, but I actually don't really like the position that much today. So just throwing that out there. All right, what else? MJ is in the chat. MJ, let's win you another one tonight. Any questions, any thoughts? I'm happy to answer them. I'm going to give you guys a minute to jump on in, but you kind of have an idea of what I'm doing. I'm going to throw over to FanDuel real quick. Pitchers I'm using. By the way, I forgot to mention, I am using Shane Bieber some today, and more on FanDuel. I'll explain why. So Shane Bieber has been way worse this year. We've seen some regression. We haven't seen the strikeouts, all these things. The guy has thrown a quality start in 10 out of 13 games this year, even as he struggled. Great pitching conditions where he is. So I like Shane Bieber as a get different play on FanDuel. I think he's a really, really interesting option because of that quality start. And I like the win equity too. I think he's got a good chance to get the win. So I'm a fan of Bieber at low ownership. I understand if you guys are just completely done with him and don't ever want to play him again. I'm not going to argue with any of that. There's no reason for me to, because it is just like he's struggled. I can't say anything else. Like, we've seen it. I understand he's struggling. So I wouldn't fault anybody if they're just done with it. I just personally am not going to play that way. As you guys know, it's not my style, and I am going to get myself some exposure to Shane Bieber. So take that for what it's worth, if anything. All right. So otherwise, I do find myself with more Colorado on FanDuel than I did on DraftKings. I also am always a sucker to play catchers in the first base spot because they always are severely underowned and on full slates. I have basically the same stacks other than that, but I do think some more Colorado, and also a lot of Pittsburgh is very reasonable. Brian Reynolds is very fair priced. There's some cheap one-offs like Stone Garrett, obviously. De La Cruz again. You still have Marcano cheap over there. Using Vargas and Betts in your lineups, I think together is just going to be a little bit different. Not different, but a little bit. And then I've got Gabriel Arias and Luis Arias, both as very good value plays. Luis Arias is a guy who I actually like as a hitter. He's just come back, so he's 2K. He shouldn't be 2K, and because of it, I found myself wanting to sort of combine. Hey, let's play him with some of the other guys from. Let's play a little bit of Abraham Toro and Christian Yelich and Rowdy Tellez and that stuff. So I'm doing a little bit more of that stuff on FanDuel. Ezekiel Duran, yeah, sure, if you want to. I don't have any specific reason to like go, I have to play Ezekiel Duran today, but Texas has hit the ball all year. I have no problem with Ezekiel Duran. He's got a nice price. He's a good pivot. So yeah, he's batting 8th. I mean, it's I don't like him as a one-off. I think if I was going to play a one-off just because of where they're hitting, might be even Diaz, who's so awful. Like Duran's a better hitter, but Diaz is 2,100 and he's batting 5th and he's going to stay in the game. They're both going to be low owned, and actually Duran is going to be more popular than Diaz. So I guess he would be the direct pivot off of Marcano and De La Cruz chalk for me. But yeah, Ezekiel Duran is part of stacks. Absolutely play Ezekiel Duran as part of stacks. I'm not finding him as a one-off as much. I do like Volpe as a little bit as a one-off at 3,900, batting 5th today. But yeah, if you're playing Texas, I don't think you're building lineups going, oh, I want to play a guy who's batting 8th as a one-off, just in general. So especially one that's not minimum cost. So I don't know that I would be able to get to that particular play myself unless I was stacking, or at least mini stacking. If you're doing a 3-man, I think that's viable enough. He's a good enough hitter. But I would probably like to have someone in the 6 or the 1 hole, just so you can have some sort of correlation for a double that scores a run that, you get the extra 2 points, or maybe the flip side of it, you get 4 points because you have your guy on base. So I kind of like the idea of a little correlation there, but I don't think I'm going to make it a priority or anything like that. So, okay, what else have we got today? I did post my, oh wait, hold on. You know what? I forgot to post it into our chat. So I'm going to go ahead and do it really quickly. My bets of the day. I've been betting mostly over unders lately with pretty good success this season. Just getting past the, I had to get past the break-even point, and now I'm sort of cruising into the profitable guy. So I definitely like getting some of that. All right, let's just see. I posted that one, and I'm giving you guys a few more minutes for any other comments to fire on in. Let's see what else we got. All right. Looks like that's it. Pretty much questions drying up. Appreciate all you guys. Thanks for hanging in with us all season long. And we'll keep it going. We've got some NBA to go through tomorrow for an exciting finals game 3. And we'll be talking about, another nice baseball slate. It's a good Wednesday night baseball slate, which is kind of weird for NBA finals game. I'm a little surprised baseball didn't make all the games in the morning. I thought that's what they were going to do. A couple lefties from San Francisco. Catcher, first baseman, Wade. So what? Yeah, Wade and Sobel, and yeah, they're fine. Sable are totally fine. They're playing for the Giants, and they're in Colorado. So yeah, that's not really like there's nothing to really think about there. I think that both those guys are fine. I don't like, in general, the problem with playing the Giants stacks is just you're going to lose half the lineup. Basically, it's going to be 4 or 5 guys that are going to be different by the end of the game. Usually, the fact that the Giants haven't released their lineup yet is probably a good sign to play them, because I think that will keep ownership even lower than where it would have been. So if you're gonna pick something over there, I do think the Giants, which we're already not getting as much ownership as we're used to seeing a visiting team at Coors, I think that would be an interesting team to consider stacking if you weren't already, just because the ownership is looking pretty low. But yeah, of course, I like Sable and I like Wade. I'd like to see a lineup before I decided, but then again, so would everybody else. So can't have everything. Anyway, appreciate you guys very much. Please click the like before you get out of here. We really appreciate it. It allows us to keep doing these videos for free. And we appreciate all your guys' feedback and thoughts. And we'll be in premium Discord all night for all site members. I did post all my I'm posting all my updated builds right now, giving you guys another minute here. Let me just see. And there definitely is a little weird. The thing with the I really came more and more onto this Gonsolin play than I thought I was going to, because I just think that I don't think it's that weird for him to outscore 2 of Musgrove, Peralta, and Schmidt. I don't think it's that weird for him to outscore all of those guys. And if he's going to be 1/10 the ownership or something like that, I'm just going to take that chance. For what it's worth, like Gonsolin doesn't even need to be awesome to get there. Like he can put up 18 fantasy points, and that might just be good enough tonight. And if he's rolling, he will have a leash to throw 95 pitches. And for what it's worth, like, did anybody look at anything anymore? The guy's got a 0.9 whip. He's 3-1. His last, what is he, like 20-1 in his last 22 decisions with an ERA below 2.3. And he's going to be the guy no one wants to play. I might just talk myself into playing him as ahead of, I think that might be my answer of how to get different enough. There, I just found it. It took me a minute. That's the answer, is to play Gonsolin ahead of, in my big buy-in, ahead of Joe Musgrove. And I think what's weird is that, like, Joe Musgrove scores more fantasy points per game than all these guys. I mean, Gonsolin does than all these guys anyway, and he's just not going to be owned. So let's do that. Let's play Tony Gonsolin ahead of Joe Musgrove, and let's have some fun. Why not? I appreciate all you guys, and I hope you have a great night. Good luck to everybody, and we'll see you guys hopefully at the top of the leaderboards and certainly in